In this video, we're going to show you how to get started creating your first Alpha 5 version 10 web application against a SQL database. So to get started, let's launch Alpha 5. If you've never created a previous Alpha 5 database, you'll see this dialog on the welcome screen. So let's create a new empty database, and the term database here should not be confused with the SQL database that we're going to be connecting to. This is just the Alpha 5 project that's going to contain our web application. So we'll go here and we'll go to the Getting Started folder, and we'll basically just create an application, an Alpha 5 database called Start, and we'll save this away. And now we're at the Alpha 5 control panel where you create all your various objects. But since we're going to be creating a web application right now, we'll click on the web projects control panel. And if we're going to be mostly living in web projects, then we can specify that every time we open this Alpha 5 project that we'd like to go straight to the web control panel. So let's go ahead and actually do that. So we're now at the web control panel, and we're going to create our first grid component against a SQL Server backend. So let's say new, and we'll choose a web component. Then we'll click next, and we'll choose the grid component, and we're going to go against the SQL backend. And so these are the various templates that can get you started quickly, and we'd like to make, say, an updatable grid against a SQL database. So we'll go there and we'll choose an updatable grid, and then click OK. And now our first task would be to connect to the SQL backend database, and to do that we're going to need to create a connection string. So let's go ahead here and say add new connection string, and we'll define a connection string, say, called Northwind. And now we can build our connection string. So Alpha 5 lets you build connection strings against Access, DB2, Excel, MySQL, any ODBC database, Oracle, Oracle Lite, Paradox, and importantly SQL Server over here. So in this particular case, we're going to just choose Access, because I have an Access Northwinds database on this computer, and we'll go there. And now let's go here and type in and we'll choose this Northwinds database. We can test our connection, and that's OK. So click OK and then close, and now we'll select our Northwinds connection string. We'll connect to the database. We'll choose, say, the customers table. Now we could base our grid on an arbitrary SQL select statement, but the Northwinds table right now will be fine for us. Let's go ahead now. These are the fields in that table. Let's go ahead and choose the fields that we'd like to see in our grid. Let's do a live preview to see what this grid looks like. And now let's turn on the application server in Alpha 5. And now let's go ahead now and do a live preview. So now we're actually running a real live web component, and you can see now that I can go and do sorting against this component. I can go to any individual record and change the data and commit the data, for example. And so now here is a real live grid component, and let's go ahead now and save it, and I'll just call this, say, grid 1. And now we'll pause and we'll pick it up in video number 2, where we'll show you how to put this component into an A5W page.